This is not a history lesson. This is the opening of a 12,000-year-old cold case. The official cause of death? An act of God. The Akashic evidence suggests it was an inside job. Declassified. The following briefing is not a historical documentary. It is the opening of a case file, a cold case, 12,000 years old. The victim? The most advanced civilization to ever exist on planet Earth. The cause of death, officially, a natural disaster, an act of God. But what if this was a lie? What if the evidence hidden deep within the planet's memory points not to a random cataclysm, but to a conspiracy, a deliberate act of self-destruction, driven by forces that are still at play in our world today? Today, we are not telling the story of Atlantis. We are opening the case file on its final days. We are examining the chilling evidence extracted from the Akashic Records by the master psychic detective Edgar Casey that suggests the fall of Atlantis was an inside job. This is not a message to entertain. It is a message to awaken. Because the karmic blueprint of that ancient crime is the very same blueprint that governs the chaos, the division, and the crises we are facing right now. To understand your present, you must first declassify the past. The time for myths is over. The time for evidence has begun. Let that sink in. The sobering data that you are about to receive is not based on speculation. It is a powerful convergence of details from hundreds of specific trance readings. But before we examine the evidence from the crime scene, we must first establish the credibility of our lead investigator. Skeptics will ask, how can we trust the visions of a man from the 1930s? The answer lies not in belief, but in his proven track record. Consider this one piece of forensic evidence. Reading 3976-19. Delivered on January 19th, 1939. Casey was asked about the future of international affairs. His answer was explicit. He foresaw an alliance between Germany, Austria, and Japan. An alliance that seemed absurd at that time. He then stated that this alliance would plunge the world into a conflict that would eventually draw America into the fight. Less than 2 years later, the Tripartite Pact was signed, formally creating the Axis powers. 2 years after that, Pearl Harbor, This is not a vague prediction. This is a specific, verifiable geopolitical intelligence forecast delivered years in advance. This is the smoking gun. It establishes Casey not as a mystic, but as a legitimate intelligence asset with access to a higher source. It is from this same proven source that the following dossier on the fall of Atlantis originates. Let us now examine the core premise. Casey stated that Atlantis was not a primitive society. It was a global technological superpower. Its civilization was built on a profound understanding of physics and consciousness that dwarfs our own. They had harnessed the power of colossal crystals, described as firestones, which acted as power plants, drawing energy from the cosmos itself. This energy powered their aircraft, their cities, and their society. But this great power, the data has revealed, created a great schism, a spiritual civil war that tore the civilization apart from the inside long before the oceans rose. This is the motive for the crime. The conflict was between two opposing factions. First, the Sons of the Law of One. They were a group of priests and scientists who saw their power as a sacred trust. They believed their advanced technology should be used for the spiritual upliftment of all, for healing, for growth, and in service to the divine plan. Their opponents were a group known as the Sons of Belial. The readings describe them as a materialistic faction. They were driven by greed, by ego, and by a lust for power. They saw the crystals not as tools for spiritual evolution, but as weapons for control and the accumulation of wealth. They did not believe in a higher power. They believed they were the higher power. This was the battle for the soul of Atlantis, a battle between service to others and service to self. The case file is clear. In the end, the Sons of Belial won. They seized control of the great crystals. They turned the planetary energy grid into a tool of oppression. They created a society of extreme inequality where a small, powerful elite lived in luxury while the masses, described as the things or automatons, were used for labor and servitude. This is not just a historical account. It is a diagnosis of a spiritual sickness, a karmic virus of greed and separation that had infected the most powerful civilization on Earth. The cataclysm was not the cause of Atlantis' fall. It was the final symptom. So, what was this crime? What was the inside job? The KC data points to a specific catastrophic event, a deliberate act of sabotage born from arrogance and a lust for power. The dossier describes the final phase of the conflict. The Sons of Belial, in their quest for ultimate control, began to push the crystal technology beyond its limits. They had already used it to control the weather and subjugate populations. Now they sought to use it as a weapon of geological warfare. A reading explains there were the upheavals from the wrongful use of the divine forces by the Sons of Belial in their attempt to bring into subjection those who were rebelling. The plan was to use the Great Crystal, the primary power source, located in the capital city, to send a powerful beam of energy through the Earth's crust to quell a rebellion in another part of the empire. It was an extreme act, godlike arrogance. They ran the calculation. They believed they could control the outcome. They were wrong. The data is chillingly specific. When they fired the crystal, they overloaded it. The beam did not just strike its target. It fractured the tectonic plate beneath the continent itself. The great crystal exploded, setting off a catastrophic chain reaction across the entire planetary grid. This was not an earthquake. This was not a tsunami. This was the planet's power grid short circuiting. The readings describe scenes of unimaginable horror. Mountains exploding, the landmass itself beginning to break apart and sink. Volcanic eruptions on a scale we cannot comprehend. A sky turned black with ash. This was the day Atlantis died. And it was not an accident. It was a direct result of a conscious choice made by its ruling elite. A choice to prioritize power over wisdom, control over balance, self-interest over the collective good. It was an inside job. But the story does not end there. This is where the cold case becomes a live investigation. The case files reveal that the souls of those responsible did not simply vanish. According to the Akashic data, the most powerful and unrepentant souls of the Sons of Belial, those who orchestrated the cataclysm, were bound by the very karmic debt they had created. They were trapped in the Earth's cycle of reincarnation, and over thousands of years, they were drawn back. Back to power. Back to the very same positions of influence they held in Atlantis. They reincarnated as the rulers of empires, as high priests, as bankers, as the captains of industry. They were driven by a deep, subconscious echo of their past, a relentless desire to rebuild the very system that had led to their own destruction. This is the core of the revelation. The karmic blueprint of Atlantis is not a historical curiosity. It is a living, breathing virus that has been repeating itself throughout human history. Every empire built on conquest and slavery is an echo of Atlantis. Every system of financial control that funnels wealth to a tiny elite is an echo of Atlantis. Every time technology is used for control and destruction rather than for healing and upliftment, that is the ghost of Atlantis, playing out its final tragic scene. Look around you. This is not ancient history. This is your world right now. Our modern civilization, particularly in the West, is the ultimate expression of this Atlantean blueprint. We are addicted to unsustainable growth. We worship materialism. Our financial system is built on debt and control. Our technology is advancing at terrifying pace with little to no spiritual wisdom to guide it. The internal strife we see, the division, the chaos, it is the same spiritual civil war being fought all over again. The battle between the sons of the law of one, who are awakening and calling for a world of unity and compassion, and the reincarnated sons of Belial, who are tightening their grip on the systems of control. The case file is not just about the past. It is a warning about the present, because the karmic blueprint is repeating. And that means the final act is repeating too. So we have the motive, a lust for power. We have the crime, a deliberate act of geological warfare that went catastrophically wrong. And we have the suspects, a karmic group of souls who have been repeating their patterns for 12,000 years. What is the final verdict? And what does it mean for us today? The verdict is that the same karmic equation that led to the collapse of Atlantis is reaching its mathematical conclusion right now. The same forces of arrogance, greed, and materialism have been pushed to their absolute limit. The planet is once again reaching a state of extreme energetic imbalance. And a planet, just like a body, must eventually purge a virus to survive. The Earth changes, Casey predicted. The rising seas, the shifting poles, the instability of the coastlines are not a new prophecy. They are the final, inevitable symptom of the repeating Atlantean sickness. They are not a punishment. They are the planet's immune response, the final physical cleansing of a karmic blueprint. This is the chilling realization. We are not waiting for a cataclysm. We are living inside of one. A slow motion replay of the final days of Atlantis. So, where is the hope? Are we all doomed to repeat the same fate? The answer is no. And the reason lies in the one variable that is different this time. In the final days of Atlantis, the data suggests the sons of the Law of One were a small minority. They were overwhelmed. They lost the battle. But this time, it is different. The Casey readings and the work of countless others speak of a great awakening, a mass activation of souls, the reincarnation, not just of the Sons of Belial, but of the millions of souls from the Law of One and countless volunteer souls from across the universe who have come here specifically for this final confrontation. This is your mission. This is the reason you are here. You are not a passive observer of this repeating history. You are an active agent of intervention. You are the variable of the missing 12 that was missing 12,000 years ago. Your first step is not to fight the system. It is to refuse to participate in its consciousness. You must conduct a forensic investigation of your own life. Where are you giving your power away to the blueprint of Belial? The protocol is simple, but its power is absolute. Deconstruct the materialism. Question your relationship with things. The Atlantean trap was the belief that power and happiness came from external possessions. True power comes from your connection to your inner divine self. Practice detachment. Choose experiences over objects. Starve the system of fear. The system of control runs on the fuel of your fear. Fear of lack, fear of the future, fear of each other. Every time you choose love over fear, compassion over judgment, unity over division, you are defunding the enemy. You are cutting off its power source. Activate the law of one. The core principle of the law of one is the understanding that all life is interconnected, that service to others is the highest form of service to self. Find your way to be of service. It does not have to be grand. A simple act of kindness, of compassion, of sharing your unique gifts with the world is an act of war against the Atlantean blueprint of separation. This case file is not just a story of a crime. It is a call to action. It is a recruitment notice for the sons and the daughters of the law of one. The verdict is in. The past is repeating, but the outcome has not yet been written. In the comments below, declare your allegiance. This is not just a comment, it is a karmic choice, a vote cast in the final battle for the soul of this planet. Begin your comment with the words that will serve as our oath, the words that identify you as an agent of intervention. I am the law of one. Let's find the other agents. The final act of this 12,000-year-old drama begins now. And this time, we win.